Hi, everyone. What's up, Planned Parenthood? My name is Kelsey, she, her pronouns, and I am so excited to be here with you today in this day of action and healing. We all are committed in our own way, and we show up in our own way. And in order to do that with longevity, which is clearly what the fight for reproductive justice takes, we've got to take care of ourselves. So kudos to you. You have done the right thing already. You have shown up here. So pat yourself on the back, metaphorically or physically. And let's settle in here together. I'm going to invite you to, we're going to do two things to start. One, I'd like you to get something extra that feels soft and cozy and easy for yourself. You deserve that. And so think what that might be for you. For me today, that is cozy socks representing Planned Parenthood. It is my stretchiest, loosest sweatpants. And I'm sitting on a soft folded blanket that I love. I have my dog right next to me, who I'm sure will come into frame. And I brought a pillow. For you, maybe one of those things. Maybe you're in a space where you can light a candle, have some aromatherapy, turn the lights off, whatever feels good to you. Intentionally pause and go get it while you hear me introduce myself. You can come back to the mat with that thing, that item, that sense, and know that you deserve that extra care. And then when you get to your, and I'll pause there and say you don't need a yoga mat for today. You don't ever have to have even done yoga before. Just come as you are. But I will probably say mat out of habit. So just know that means wherever you happen to be. So come on back to your space then once you've gotten your extra cozy, soft thing for yourself. And you're going to lie down on your back in constructive rest, one of my personal favorite yoga poses. So that's on your back, feet, soles of the feet on the floor, knees pointed up, and then let your knees collapse in on each other. This helps release your lower abdomen around the pelvis and hips. So as you're ready, come here, settle in here. Do what feels good with the arms. You can experiment with a few things. One hand on heart, one hand on belly, perhaps arms out. Sometimes I like the way arms up feel, kind of like cactus position. So go with what feels good. So just listen if you like, and take what you like and leave the rest. I want to introduce myself to you, tell you how I came to work with Planned Parenthood and yoga, and then we'll do some really gentle yoga today as a way of taking care of ourselves. So you keep lying down. I'm going to sit up just so my microphone is working best. So as I said before, my name is Kelsey, she, her pronouns. I'm coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I have been a volunteer, storyteller, and advocate with Planned Parenthood since 2016. In early 2016, I was about 20 weeks pregnant in my second pregnancy when I had a routine ultrasound that was anything but. My baby wasn't moving, limbs were curled up on himself, he was measuring small, and there were a myriad of other things going on. And so I made the decision, the gut-wrenching decision, to terminate my pregnancy, and I had an abortion at 21 weeks, 6 days. About a month after that, Pennsylvania Republicans tried to fast-track a bill to outlaw abortion starting at 20 weeks. And I was compelled to action in a way I never have been before, because it could have been me. It could have been me that they were debating about and spewing rhetoric about, all while still carrying my baby boy on the inside, making the hardest decision of my life. So I chose to speak out, to share my story, to raise it as one example of the truth, and to help protect other families or people like me, because we all deserve access to healthcare, including abortion, and we deserve to do that with privacy. Yeah, so that work is totally fulfilling and meaning-making of my tragedy, and it's also exhausting, as I'm sure you know from your own contributions to this movement. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that healing looks like for me, and for me, how yoga and storytelling are intertwined. I'm going to first just cue you to where you are on your back. If it feels good to you, I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze if you haven't already, and to just be aware of your breath. Maybe you feel it in your belly. Perhaps you feel it on the ground or the chair or the sofa, the sand. Maybe you're doing this from the beach. But just be aware of that which your body is touching and that your body is breathing. We are here to observe. Full stop. No judgment, no doing even. We're just being here. So again, continue to tune in with your breath. Tune in to what it's like to be here in this moment. So not long after my abortion, I started practicing yoga again. I had practiced on and off since early 2000s. And I found that that type of mindful, structured movement really brought me a lot of peace. So I really became a regular practitioner after my abortion. And it really helped me find peace with the sad and the uncomfortable and the discomfort, sort of peace with what is, as I've just described today. And so I continued my practice, and it really has carried me through some of the darkest and most difficult days of my life, some of the biggest changes I've gone through. That coming back to my practice is a way for me to just be still with what is. Doesn't matter what that is, but it just allows me to just be. And I think it's really a great tool for everyone in that regard. So this summer, I took a plunge with my yoga practice and deepened my study, and I'm now a 200-hour registered yoga teacher. I practiced out of Practice Yoga Austin. Shout out to Ray Cardenas and Keely Walters, my two teachers, and I'm proud to be a part of their lineage, along with Shanti Kelly. And these folks all work with Adrienne Mishler, who's a part of Yoga with Adrienne, if you're familiar with her work. So I'm informed by them, and perhaps if you've ever practiced with any of them, you'll hear some of that phrasing come out. So I continue to be inspired by yoga. It continues to allow me to fill my cup first, or to put on my proverbial oxygen mask first, as they say on the airplane, so that I can continue to be a parent to my firstborn son, who's 9. I can continue to do the work I do with Planned Parenthood and in my paid work, and I can continue to show up in all the areas of my life. So I'm excited to get to bring this dedicated 20 minutes or so of that practice to you. And I'm glad that you want to show up for yourself in that way today. So I'm going to do some very gentle moving. Think of it as like a moving meditation. And hopefully some of these things you can carry with you past today and out into your life as ways to check in with yourself, to fill your cup, and to keep going in this fight for reproductive justice and rights for all. I'm going to join you now in constructive rest pose. Let's see if I can tilt my camera here. If you see my 5-month-old puppy, Maggie, and my cats are around too. So you may get a little taste of everybody here today. Great. So I'm going to invite you to wherever your hands have been to bring them to your belly at this point. Feels good to just check in with our bellies, with our breathing. Things that we often take for granted at best, or don't treat so nicely at worst. So just take a moment here to be grateful that your body is alive and you're breathing, and it's pretty miraculous, just that in and of itself. Now allow yourself to notice if you feel your breath moving under your hands. You can imagine sending breath down towards your navel, towards your hips and your low back. Really allowing the breath to nourish you, replenish you. I'm going to invite you on your next breath in to take the deepest breath you've taken all day and hold it at the top and release. We're going to do that again. And remember, you're at home. I'm the only one putting this on the internet. So don't be shy. Let a sigh, a deep exhale, a noise, whatever you need, whatever feels good in the moment, give it a try. So again, big inhale. Pause, sigh it out. Now continuing your deep breath, check in with your body, starting at the feet, scanning up your ankles, calves, knees. As you do this, see if you're holding, gripping, unnecessarily tensing or working in any areas. Up through the thighs, hips, lower back, lower abdomen, core, rib cage, out to the sides of your shoulders, checking in with the biceps, the forearms, the hands, back up to the shoulders and in with the neck, where so many of us carry tension, around the ears, the jaw, the eyelids, the tongue, the top of the head. And just notice if you're working harder than you have to. I just noticed my right shoulder was crunching up. I'm just noticing, and often just by noticing, we bring some ease to that area. We're going to start to bring some gentle movement to the body. We're going to start with the lower half of the body. I'm going to invite you to try windshield wiper legs, very fancy term. Just by taking the knees to one side and then the other, gently, softly, pausing. If you catch a moment there that feels really good, for me, the front of this right hip flexor feels like it needs a little tightness release there. And maybe you stay with your knees more upright, or maybe your legs start to walk down like mine, stretching all the way out. Give your ankles a shake, legs a shake, release that tension. Now inviting you to stretch your arms up overhead. Oh, that made me yawn. Oh, that feels good. And take any stretching here. That feels nice. I feel often like I'm all crumpled up in my side body. Well, it feels nice to go side to side. And while this is a stretch a lot of people might do standing, I like to do it on the ground, letting the ground carry my weight. Carry me for a second. So just relax here for a minute, wherever your arms and legs feel comfortable. And then I'll invite you to stretch. Looks like you're making a pointy, old-fashioned wooden pencil. Tense. And release. Oh, and try that one more time. Tense. And release. Now on your next inhale, bring your right leg up towards your chest, abdomen, stomach, and grab on wherever it feels comfy. For me, that's here, just below the knee. Just be careful to not put extra pressure on your joints. Some folks like grabbing behind the thigh. Ooh, that actually feels good today. Some people grab a pant leg. You can grab up here, whatever feels good. And just have that gentle compression on the lower belly. And the breath. And on your next inhale, switch your legs. Checking in here on the other side, pulling the left leg towards your torso. Again, maybe here, just inviting gentle compression in your lower left abdomen and sending the breath there. Oh, Maggie's starting to join us. Now I invite you to bring your other knee back in. So you're curled up in a little ball. And perhaps you try tucking your nose up towards your knees. No tension in the neck. More so just extending the spine in this way. Now we're going to make our way up to seated, and I'm going to invite you to do that in one of two ways, whichever feels better for you. So one way it can be rolling over to your side, resting in fetal position for a minute, everything on the ground, and then pushing yourself up. Or, watch out, Megs, I'm going to rock and roll up and down the length of my spine. It feels fun. You can bring a sense of playfulness. Sometimes this helps me shake it off when I'm just in a funk. Your dog can become a part of it. Oh, I think I just touched a cat on the sofa. Oh, whichever way you choose to get up. Coming up to seated, to what we call Sukhasana in yoga. Back up here for the camera. Which Sukhasana means easy pose. This is not an easy pose, so it's very ironic, but other people know it as crisscross applesauce or pretzel legs. I'm going to adjust my camera here, excuse the user error. And I think my other cat's making some noise. Hi, Max. Yeah, just remember, you're here as you are. You're bringing all of it with you to the mat. It's all good. It's all welcome. So wherever you land here, feel your sit bones root down into the ground and pay attention to what else is touching the ground. So for me, it's the sort of lower part of my outer calf and ankle and foot. And just notice that that's holding you up on its own. And see if there's anywhere you can release tension. So for me, it's often that I'm holding my shoulders up here, even though I don't actually need that in order to sit up. Sometimes I lightly engage my core, just like 20% effort, just to help hold me up. And I like to picture a string coming out of the top of the crown of my head, helping me sit up tall and allow my spine to be at its natural curves, its natural spacing. Oh, bring your hands down to your sides. My pillow. Oh, I should mention, speaking of pillow, if you're sitting here and you're like, wow, this is super uncomfortable, you're welcome to bring a pillow or a blanket or even a book and put it under your hips. That can really help bring a little relief in the hips there. Bring your hands down to your sides. And on our next inhale, we're going to raise our arms up towards the ceiling. Try to have the movement of your arms go with your breath up as you peak the breath, and then you release. You can do out through the nose or mouth, whatever feels good. Do it again with your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale again. Exhale. And you're welcome to try to match me, but what matters is that you match yourself, your own breath, your own timing. So there's power in yoga in practicing together, because there's power in doing something together. The mirror neurons in our brain really light up, and we recognize that as our community. But it's also too important. It's important to remember there's no right or wrong. There's no scoring in yoga. It is about tapping into what you need. So it's really balancing those two things, which I think speaks really beautifully to the work we do in our community. Showing up, doing the work in tandem with fellow volunteers and advocates and staffers, but also knowing what we need, knowing when we need to bow out or pause. Okay, on the next inhale up, you're going to leave your arms up and then leaving your hands where they are for a moment. Engage your core and turn ever so gently to the left, and then release your hands once you're there. I like to come into a twist like this so that we're not sort of using our arms to force our body, but instead we're just going as naturally far as our joints allow, because every body is different. And each body is different on every given day. We're just always checking in. Check in with your spine here, make sure it's still straight. If you're curving, just come out of the twist. The twist should be adjusted to what feels good in your body. And a twist is a good detoxifier. Adrienne likes to talk about it as a sponge, like wringing out the sponge or a dirty dish towel, which I love that image. We've used this moment to breathe deep and release what's not serving you. On your next inhale, arms up. And now you know where we're going, to the other side. Engage your belly a bit to turn yourself, and then release your arms. Check in with the spine first and foremost. Look over your shoulder if that feels good. Release your shoulders down. And breathe, baby. You gotta breathe for the benefit. Come back to center. I'm going to show us some spinal extension and flexion, and then we're going to end with a brief moment of meditation while I offer you a passage from a book, and that's it. It goes by in a blink when you dedicate this time to taking care of yourself. So again, we're here in seated pose. I'm going to invite you to smooth your heart forward, arching the back, opening the throat, and then curve back by bringing in your abdominal. This is a great spinal check-in you can do at your desk or in your car at a red light or on the bus, wherever you may find yourself sitting amidst a day. This is a nice way to bring some gentle movement to the spine and to check in with your body. The other way we can do this is in a circle. Kind of feels like grooving. I just like to think of my sit bones as rooting down like tree roots. They don't just touch the surface, but they energetically go below the floor, and everything else can swirl about, and then you can go the other direction. I like to imagine my heart being the thing to lead this movement. And then gently, slowly bring yourself back up to upright. Now, find what feels good to you for your hands. Perhaps that's on your knees. Sorry, video here. Perhaps it's on your knees. Maybe it's in your lap, palms up on the thighs. You can try a mudra. This is Anjali mudra at the heart. Whatever feels good in this moment. Just check in with the neck and shoulders to see if there's any extra tension there. We don't need to work any harder than we already do. So you hold whatever feels good, and I am going to flip to a page in this book, and I'm going to share this with us as an ending. So wherever you are in your seat with your hands, I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze if that feels good and right to you. I'm going to share with you this book, The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo, or Nepo, not sure. It has a passage for every day of the calendar year. And when I flipped to October 19th, I thought, well, this is just too perfect for what we're here for today. So I will share this with you, take it or leave it. And while you're sitting here, know that it's common, nay, human, to have all kinds of thoughts and checklists and worries come up and about in the mind, in the monkey mind. And that's really common. That happens to literally everyone, including people who practice yoga for hours a day, their whole life. That's why they practice yoga. So if that's happening to you, you're not alone. You're doing it right. You are doing it right. Okay. October 19th, our sense of calling. Every year around the scalp of the planet, the caribou run the same path of migration along the edge of the Arctic Circle. They are born with some innate sense that calls them to this path, and every year along the way, packs of coyote wait to feed on the caribou, and every year, despite the danger, the caribou return and make their way. Often, nature makes things very clear. What feels like confusion is frequently our human refusal to see things for what they are. What lesson do the caribou shout us? What lesson do the caribou shout to us with the thunder of their hooves as they deepen the crown of the planet? They are evidence, even as we speak, of the fact that in every living thing, there is an inner necessity that outweighs all consequence. For the caribou, it is clear what it is. For spirits like us, carried in human form, or I should say most of us, dogs and cats and others may be around, it is a blessing and a curse that we don't always know our calling. Part of our migration is the finding out. What is it we are called to beneath all formal ambition? The caribou tells us that though there are risks and dangers that await in the world, we truly have no choice but to live out what we are born with, to find and work our path. These elegant animals bespeak a force deeper than courage. And though some may call the caribou stupid, not me, the mystery of their migration reveals to us the quiet, irrepressible emergence of living over hiding, of being over thinking, of participating over observing, and of thriving over just surviving. In regions near the Arctic, the caribou are not seen as animals living out an instinct at all costs. Rather, it's believed that their endless run, no matter what stands in their way, is what keeps the earth turning. And somewhere beneath all hesitation and despair, it is our endless call to being in each of us and all of us together that keeps the fire at the center of the earth burning. And I would say, for us here gathered today, it is us following and running on our path that keeps this movement burning and turning. And it is your calling to be a part of this movement. And in whichever way you show up, that's your calling, and you are doing your part to keep the earth turning, because it takes each of us, our pounding hooves on the earth, to keep it in motion. So remember, you are participating over observing. You are thriving over just survival. And with that, I'd just like to take a moment to say thank you for joining me. I hope you thank yourself for taking this time for yourself. I wish I could give you each a hug, but for now, I'll just invite you to give yourself a hug, another tool, which is a great way to check in with yourself on a daily basis. Thanks for coming. Thanks for all you do. I loved being in this work with you all, and I hope we are in it for many years to come together. And we can be by filling our cup. And we're in it for the long haul. Glad to know you.